our culture is competitive, man.
Right.
It is, but I think when it goes past the music itself to blocking things in business, then I don't understand that. Like right now, he's not even competing for a slot. You don't have a new song out that he want to be on the top 10 or top 5, and you still competing. It don't make sense.
There are horrible things that happen every day, whether it be in the industry or not, mentally, emotionally, financially.
First of all, that vote is fake as That's not a real vote. That's not a real vote. They give it to who they want to give it to. They give it to their darlings.
Cowboy Carter, Beyonce.
It's the price you pay, when you're early in your career, you feel that you have to listen. And when you buck, they buck harder and they make threats. And those threats are huge ones.
Welcome back to Fame Flux, where the truth behind fame gets exposed. 50 Cent and Eminem are finally joining forces to put a spotlight on Jay-Z and Beyoncé, throwing major accusations their way. They're calling out everything from award manipulation to allegedly stealing from black creators and knocking down anyone who steps in their path. According to 50, Jay-Z is still actively trying to block his business moves behind the scenes, pulling strings like a real puppet master. At the same time, Eminem's been sounding the alarm in his music, dropping mysterious bars about industry bosses and secret hands running the game from behind closed doors. It's getting wild. Now Beyoncé is also catching serious heat. People are accusing her of taking credit for songs she didn't write and allegedly blackballing other female artists like Aaliyah, Maya, Carrie Hilson, and even Mary J. Blige. It's turning into a pattern that's hard to ignore.
When you're not competing for those things anymore and you start looking and you're going, so what was the problem? You can't exactly remember what the problem is. That's what I went through with Joe.
But wait, there's more. Jay-Z and Beyoncé's tight connection to Diddy is back under scrutiny. Jay may have dodged the recent Jane Doe lawsuit, but word is the woman involved is now hinting she was forced to back down after some mysterious people popped up at her door. That's got folks talking like never before. With all these claims coming to the surface, people are starting to ask if Jay and Bey are really powerful legends or just masters at hiding the truth. Do 50 Cent and Eminem really know what's happening behind the curtain? And how many people's careers or lives have been wrecked in their rise to the top? Let's get into it.
Look, Jay-Z and them was putting it together. So I think they still harbor some energy towards me.
You think you were purposely left out of the ad?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think that they were saying the NFL had some issues with me that I don't know what those issues are. Like, what is the issue? You start looking at, that's not mine, that's theirs, they're harboring, right? But when you look at, M is looking at the entire legacy.
Yeah.
The whole thing, like with M, Dre, and myself, like I'm a shady aftermath. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's so much G-Unit Records.
Right.
They forget that I'm M and Dre's artist.
For years, Jay-Z and Beyoncé were seen as music royalty, untouchable, unstoppable, and sitting at the top of the game. Speaking against them used to get you labeled as bitter or jealous. But now, that flawless reputation is cracking. More insiders are stepping up.
This is why I was saying I knew what old boy was doing. Right. With the Super Bowl. Because he was doing like...
Yeah, go ahead.
He was doing some wild because he was saying that to Eminem that the NFL had the issue with me. And I'm like, well, what's the issue? Why don't I have an issue when I'm becoming a partner in the actual team, but they got an issue with my performance? Right? Makes no sense. You know what I mean?
I was going to get to that later, but since we're here now. And when he says "oh boy" for the audience that I'm talking about Jay-Z, this was discussed before. Jay-Z told Dr. Dre, just for people who's not up on this, or Eminem, that he didn't want you to perform part of that Super Bowl they had a couple years ago. Why do you think that is?
Well, I just
threatened. Possibly.
Not even threatened. I think it's just when you take the competition from like our culture is competitive, man.
Right.
It is, but I think when it goes past the music itself to blocking things in business, then I don't understand that. Like right now, you're not even competing for a slot. You don't have a new song out that he want to be on the top 10 or top 5, and you still competing. It just don't make sense. Like, what are we competing for? What's the goal? Like this even like a lot of even a lot of the competitive stuff, or what we would call it beef, right? It changed. That terminology changed when it's Biggie and Tupac, because we start saying the things that people would say that cause beef in the environment.
Right.
When before that they called it babbling in our culture.
Right.
Because that's what it is until it turns into some street shit. So when you're not competing for those things anymore, and you start looking and you're going, so what was the problem? You can't exactly remember what the problem was. That's what went through with Joe.
And leading the charge are none other than 50 Cent and Eminem. Let's break it down, starting with 50 Cent. He's been throwing major shots at Jay-Z, accusing him of being insecure, petty, and straight up jealous. And 50 says he's got receipts. Back in 2023, 50 claimed that Jay tried to block his performance at the Super Bowl by pulling strings through his NFL connections. But the plan backfired, because Eminem wouldn't perform without 50 on that stage. That move alone exposed a major power play.
Andre Young, thank you, sir. All the doors that you opened, showed us that we can be rock stars. Seeing you on the Rolling Stone. Obviously, there's Run DMC with the Leathers and the Aerosmith. But when you came out west, you took it to a whole new level. Some of you don't belong in the category. Oh, no, that was it. No, when I get nervous, I tell the truth.
Fast forward to a recent interview on Talk with Flea featuring Cameron. 50 doubled down and called Jay out again. This time, he said Jay's been running shady games, not just in music, but across business too. And here's the wild part. 50 says Jay has already cemented his legacy. So why is he still out here allegedly trying to mess with 50's deals just out of spite? It doesn't stop there. 50 and Eminem are now linking up to take the fight further, calling out the Carters over Grammy manipulation. 50's putting Jay on blast for allegedly using his marriage to Beyoncé as leverage to snatch up awards.
You have a few Grammys, but you feel like you had to sell your soul to get them. And you didn't know if you wanted it for the recognition or the trophies, but then what's the difference? And that Grammys pretty much suck the blood of artists and nominate them, have them come to the shows. And
Which they do. They do it every year, yeah. And I'm just tired of seeing it. And for whatever reason, it's like they're always pitching this hint that you might win Album of the Year, which used to be a big deal. I don't think it's a big deal now.
This isn't just industry politics. It's starting to look like a full-blown takedown campaign. Eminem has been calling out the Grammys for years, saying it's all rigged, pay to win, and controlled by backroom deals. And now, the recent Album of the Year win for Beyoncé's Cowboy Carter is adding more fuel to the fire. Sure, she finally took home the top prize, but not everyone's buying that it was a clean win. A lot of folks believe Jay-Z pulled some serious strings behind the scenes. People started raising eyebrows after Jay-Z hit the stage at last year's Grammy Awards and called out the Recording Academy for constantly ignoring Beyoncé. But here's the twist. He was up there accepting an award while calling them biased. That had fans shaking their heads because it felt like he was trying to play both sides at once. The whole moment came off real strange. If Jay really thought the Grammys were unfair, why not walk away completely? Why still chase their approval instead of shutting it all down with a full boycott? That mixed message just added more heat to the growing rumors that the Carters have been working the system through backdoor pressure and big money influence. For years, whispers have been floating around the industry that Grammy wins aren't about talent. They're about politics, power, and connections. And one of the boldest voices saying it out loud has been Eminem. He's made it crystal clear. He thinks the entire setup is a scam. In fact, he's even vowed never to show up again. And M's not bitter. He said straight up that he wouldn't be mad losing if the other artist dropped a better album. What really fires him up is how the Grammys keep using his name for ratings, acting like he's got a shot just to turn around and shut him out at the last second. That's the game he's exposing. When asked if he'd ever consider going back to the Grammys, maybe even as part of the voting committee, Eminem didn't hold back. He said it wouldn't change a thing. According to him, the whole system is already locked in, the decisions are made before the votes even count, and the entire process is nothing but smoke and mirrors. And 50 Cent? He's been just as vocal, if not louder. He didn't just say the awards are biased.
I watched 50, same 50 did not win Best New Artist at the Grammys.
There was nothing bigger than 50.
Nothing bigger, and nobody,
yeah.
nobody since maybe like Snoop came out the gate like that. My first album didn't do it. I never saw someone's first album and the wave happen like he had. And then he doesn't get it. And then I get up there another year, and what was it, the Eminem show? And it was like, whatever, I'm fine if I lose to Kanye or someone that I'm like, okay, I respect that. I know who that is, and Kanye has a huge following and he's made a massive impact on music. Fine, I'm good with that. But don't get us all here to use your selling point for your show and stiff everybody every single time. And I said, after that point in time, I was like, don't ever ask me to here again. Please do not ask me. My answer is no for 100 million years. Never again will I go to the grave.
He said flat out that Jay-Z's Grammy wins are more about who he's married to than his actual bars or musical skill. According to 50, the Recording Academy knows exactly what they're doing. As long as Jay and Beyoncé show up, the viewership goes up, and that means more money. So, to keep that star power rolling in, they toss awards and nominations their way like clockwork. But 50 wasn't finished. On the Flagrant podcast, he really let loose. He doubled down, saying Jay-Z's Grammy streak has way more to do with Beyoncé than anything else. And here's where it got extra wild. He even hinted that their whole relationship might be more business than love, calling it a contract. The suggestion? They're staying together not for romance, but for control and career power. And it's not just 50 sounding the alarm. Other insiders have been saying for years.
Did you ever consider, joining a board and maybe you have a vote in it?
First of all, that vote is fake. That's not a real vote. That's not a real vote. They give it to who they want to give it to. They give it to their darlings. This got critical acclaim, but it sold 2 records. It ain't about always what you sell. I get that, Vanilla Ice, I understand. You know what I'm saying? But there comes a point where when an overwhelming something comes along that has this wave and impact on music, and you give it to Lada Dottie. Who? Lada Dottie. Sound like Lada Dottie.
That Jay-Z and Beyoncé allegedly held back rising talent, making sure nobody outshined them at the top of the charts. These aren't just random rumors. They're coming from people who've seen how the industry moves behind the scenes. One of the most explosive claims came from Beyoncé's former bodyguard, Uncle Ron. Just before his death from pneumonia, he said he had solid proof that Jay and Bey destroyed careers and tore apart lives to protect their empire. That statement shook fans and raised even more questions about just how far the Carters were willing to go to stay on top. And then there's Jaguar Wright, Jay-Z's former background singer and easily one of his loudest critics.
Is when he started to receive the 16 17 Grammys since he's been with Beyonce. Right? And you go prior to that, 1.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that came in association, like you see the kids even have Grammys. They don't sing yet. They don't sing.
Right.
They don't rap yet. And they already have Grammys. So it's like they give them this trophy so we secure that they're coming to the award show. It meant that much to the culture that they just gave them the things they would. Later, to me, I didn't care about trophies. I said, I'll get the checks.
She's been speaking out for years, claiming that several people close to Jay, including Harlem legend Big L, either lost their lives or had their careers crushed so that Jay could rise untouched to the top. That's a serious claim, and she's not backing down. Let's take a moment to break down Big L's story. In the early 90s, Big L was a major force in Harlem's underground hip-hop scene, known for his razor-sharp freestyles and powerful bars. He signed with Columbia Records and made waves with his debut. But when Columbia let him go, Big L didn't fold. He bounced back and started his own label, catching the eye of none other than Dame Dash, the co-founder of Rockefeller. Things were looking up until tragedy struck. On February 15th, 1999, Big L was shot and killed in a drive-by in Harlem. The case? Still unsolved to this day. But Jaguar Wright believes this wasn't just random street violence. She strongly suspects that Jay-Z might have had something to do with it. She even dropped a cryptic line saying, "See how good I keep secrets, Sean," aiming it right at Jay. And that's not the only beef out there. DMX also had no problem speaking up. He was one of the few major names, aside from 50 Cent, who wasn't afraid to go at Jay-Z directly. When Jay became president of Def Jam in 2004, DMX had just run up 5 back-to-back #1 albums from 1998 to 2003. He was on fire. But when DMX was prepping his 6th album, Year of the Dog, again, things started to shift. DMX later claimed that Jay-Z personally delayed the album's release, allegedly to clear the way for his own comeback. That move didn't sit right with DMX, and it added to the growing talk that Jay wasn't above stepping on others to keep his spot secure. But that's not even the full story. In 2005, DMX dropped a track called The Industry, a raw expose revealing the darker corners of the music world. And what's wild is that a lot of what DMX called out back then is still going on today. From shady contracts to industry sabotage, his warnings hit harder than ever.
Look, when Jay signed his contract, the big one was with Beyonce. When he signed that contract, the marriage contract, he got trophies. Now those fucking trophies, trophies came rolling in, buddy. He started getting Grammys left and right, man. I mean, look, if you look at his career,
This guy. You're gonna let him say that? Jay was getting Grammys. You're gonna let him say that?
he had one.
Exactly.
He had
And
one.
he ain't show up.
No, he has like 20 now.
Hold on.
He had like 18 since he been down. Look, he had one, bro. Hard Knock Life.
Hold on. You're not wrong. At the same time.
He got, he's like drinking his pictures with him like things the cup.
Wait a minute. So you're saying the success is derived from the marriage?
I've absolutely been treated differently.
The accolades.
Because he's no
marriage.
longer viewed as what, like a street or gangster rapper. Now he's viewed as a businessman, entrepreneur, family man.
And the biggest ones because of the position Beyonce's.
Oh, wow.
Right? You were connected to the biggest.
Jay got.
Oh, wow. So that's the deal.
Yeah, that's the deal. Like, the other ones didn't count as much as that one did.
And then there's Irv Gotti, who once made a bold claim that Jay-Z was flat out jealous of DMX. Irv said that back in the day, Jay and his mentor Lyre Cohen would laugh at DMX behind the scenes and never believed he'd make it big. But we all know how that turned out. DMX ended up dominating the charts and building a loyal fan base that still stands strong today. The same kind of shady energy seemed to surround Beanie Siegel too. Beanie said it always felt like something behind the scenes was blocking him from leveling up. One example, Jay-Z allegedly made sure to release his own albums around the same time as Beanie's, squeezing him out of spotlight and limiting his sales. That kind of timing doesn't feel like a coincidence. Now, Beanie did admit that his legal troubles played a part in slowing down his success, but he also made it clear, Jay's moves weren't innocent. According to Beanie, Jay did it on purpose, like there was a ceiling Beanie wasn't allowed to break through. And let's not act like Beyonce's out of the picture here either. While some fans try to paint her as just a bystander under Jay's control, it's hard to believe she stayed locked in for all these years without being part of the strategy. One thing people say the power couple allegedly shares: a habit of knocking down any artist who looks like competition. Let's talk about some real examples that fans believe show how far Beyoncé and Jay-Z allegedly go to protect their empire. When Beyoncé broke off from Destiny's Child, and started dating Jay, rumors started flying that Jay allegedly pulled a major move, taking producer Rich Harrison away from singer Amerie, who was supposedly viewed as a threat to Beyoncé's solo rise. If you remember Amerie's track One Thing, it had that exact same vibe as Crazy in Love. And many believe Beyoncé's hit was heavily inspired by it. Then there's Carrie Hilson, whose clash with Beyoncé turned into a full-blown disaster. According to reports, Carrie's producers allegedly tricked her into recording a diss track that appeared to take shots at Bey.
How did you stay so guarded within your career?
This is what I did. I said, no, I'm good, thank you. No, thank you. Okay, so sometimes that doesn't translate as far as what you are allowed to have, what you have access to. You will be blackballed. You will be talked about, you will be on, you will be rumored about. But you have to stand strong on what you don't care for. It's not that serious to me, you know, if I have to sell my soul. I understand that I might have sacrificed something in the physical world, but the spiritual world is not worth it. You're okay. You don't need to do anything. What you need to do is protect every part of your life, your spirit especially, because everything else is connected to that. There are some people, not everyone, that have huge egos, you know, and awful mindsets towards men, towards women, towards people. And it's very difficult to be around. It's just very difficult. And the way they define success is not your idea of success.
Something she later denied. But the damage was already done. And when Carrie refused to hold a magazine featuring Beyoncé and Jay-Z on the cover, things exploded again. What followed was intense backlash from Beyoncé's fan base. People online dragging Carrie constantly, and even reports of her being harassed in public. That kind of treatment had folks wondering, was this all really organic fan behavior, or was someone behind the scenes pulling strings? Rumors began spreading fast that Beyoncé had a direct hand in the whole situation. Some insiders claimed she orchestrated the drama, getting Carrie's team to bait her into that diss and then stepping back while the fallout crushed Carrie's career. Bey came out looking like the innocent one, while Carrie got burned. Even Carrie Hilson gave some truth to the speculation years later. In a 2020 interview, she admitted she felt pressured to release the song and said the threats she received afterward were serious. That kind of setup makes people wonder, was this just beef or something way more calculated? And we definitely can't leave out Kelis, who came forward accusing Beyoncé of straight-up disrespect after Bey sampled her iconic track Milkshake without giving her any credit. Kelis didn't even know the sample was being used until fans started tagging her all over social media. She said she was shocked, calling the move disrespectful and flat-out ignorant. I heard about this the same way everyone else did, Kelis wrote online. She didn't hold back, saying, "Nothing is ever as it seems. Some of the people in this business have no soul or integrity, and they have everyone fooled." That statement hit hard, and it had fans looking at Beyoncé's team sideways. Later, Kelis went deeper on Instagram, explaining why she was so hurt by the situation. She said, "Not only are we black female artists in an industry where there's not that many of us, we've met, we know each other, we even have mutual friends." She made it clear, it wasn't about paperwork, it was about respect. Kelis added that reaching out would have been simple. It was just about common decency. But instead of addressing the situation, Beyoncé quietly removed the Milkshake sample and never said a word. No apology, no explanation, just silence. That only fueled more speculation that these industry power moves are handled behind closed doors without any accountability. And then there's Maya, another artist whose name often comes up in these conversations. She was allegedly blackballed after she reportedly turned down Jay-Z's advances. While Maya didn't name names, she spoke up in interviews about how people in high positions often misuse their power, and how that creates a dangerous environment for young artists chasing success. She said a lot of artists don't even realize what they're giving up until it's too late. When asked how she stayed grounded, Maya said she simply said no and walked away. But she also hinted that turning down certain people came with serious consequences, like being shut out and having her name dragged through the mud. So, as you've just seen, there's a growing list of artists who believe Jay-Z and Beyoncé may have played a role in blocking their success, pulling strings behind the scenes to protect their empire. From career sabotage to shady business moves, these claims aren't coming from random voices. We're talking major names like 50 Cent, Eminem, Kellis, DMX, Beanie Siegel, and more. And this list is far from complete. So what do you think? Is there some truth to all these accusations? Could the Carters really be using their influence to shut down competition? And are there even more artists out there who were pushed aside without us knowing? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let us know who you think got blackballed. And don't forget, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next.